moderator for the day, Shadrach Odiabundio, feel free to ask anything, if need be, so that we move the program together. Now, the main aim of the workshop goal today is to develop a participatory action plan for National Culture and Tourism Festival for 2021 edition. This event shall be held at KICC, and it will involve a big array of participants. You who are seated here today are to guide us, help us to host the best event that we can. Give us what you know. Tell us where you think we should walk. Take us along this journey so that we hold a big event. Then today, if possible, we shall elect the next county where we shall go for the big event. So that we have continuity, we have planning in place. I believe there are people who are here who will help us with planning. Culturally, how do you plan? I believe there's a way somebody from Mount Kenya plans. There's a way somebody from Lamu plans. There's a way somebody from Busia plans. We need to incorporate all these people. So I humbly seek that you give us direction in this. So the aim is to develop the participatory action plan. And our key objectives here, and this is where those who will help us, you need to note. One is to provide the ways to collaborate with both the national and county governments, non-government organizations, and the private sector in developing culture and tourism. Two, provide direction on methods and tools for sustainable culture and tourism planning and management. Three, assess the needs of Kenya as a country and counties' site managers in heritage, cultural, and tourism management. Four, determine the mechanisms most appropriate to establish and maintain a useful training network. Five, formulate an action plan for follow-up workshops and training of culture and tourism management for the site managers in the 2021 edition festival. By reference to site managers, we are talking about the owners of cultural sites within the counties. They are the owners of those sites. Eventually, at the close of business today, I humbly seek to get the following outputs. Empowerment of national site managers for the National Conference 2021. Two, generate a list of training needs and priorities for the managers. Three, have an action plan with the recommendations for training needs and mechanisms most appropriate to establish and maintain useful training network. And lastly, commitment to collaborate with the National Conference 2021 edition in pursuing future training festivals and the learning network among Kenyan site managers. Agencies are across the board, and there are many. We are talking about the central government. We are talking about experts on heritage conservation, tourism development, and public policy. All these are guided by certain policies in government that we need to know. County governments, World Heritage Site Managers, representatives from local county governments, non-government organizations, experts on heritage, and the Kenya National Commission for UNESCO. With those humble remarks, and many words in English, nasema karibuni sana na karibisha director wetu wa Fountain Flow aseme machache sana ndio tuendelee mbele.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning where everyone.
Good morning.
Karibu sana Nairobi. Thank you very much, Bwana Shadrach. I want to thank all of you represented here. I want to thank each and everyone, and especially the people that we are working with currently to come up with this spectacular festival that is coming up. Today is a day that we've called all of you to come so that we put our heads together, we strategize, just as Shadrach has mentioned, and to move forward as we get closer to our main festival of tourism and culture. Remember, this is a national festival, and before we get there, first of all, this festival is a national festival. It's being coordinated by the representatives from the national government, county, and the private sector, in a collaboration with the State Department for Culture and Heritage. The representatives are here. They'll do a presentation, and the Ministry of Tourism. And then we have the stakeholders in the sector for tourism, and also we have the stakeholders in county government that they offer product as far as the socio-economic development in the sector is concerned, plus many other organizations and stakeholders and well-wishers. So we are moving forward. Today is a day that we need to come together, we strategize, we move forward, and we see where exactly where the economic bloc, especially in counties and national government, the need, the collaboration, and also the interaction. So we welcome you all in this forum. We are sorry that we started late, and again, we still have our delegates who are still on the way, coming, and they will join us. So for the sake of time, we want to move forward, and I want to welcome all of you in this forum. And especially we work closely with the Nairobi County, county government. There's an apology from the director of tourism, and also we are expected to have the acting governor to join us anytime, and then the rest of the invited guests. So feel welcome, feel at home, feel a Kenyan, and feel as an individual. Represent your county very well, and learn more. Wherever or any area that you do not understand, and you feel that there's any question that you need to be clarified, this is the forum. So if you live here, the journey will start from this forum. So I welcome each and everyone, whoever is on the way, each person coming, karibu sana, karibu sana. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
As we say in Kenya, all protocols observed. The MC has really brought me too early. I was thinking I was going to be good in the afternoon initially. Then I was brought a little early. But I think it's because he realizes that I was the first person to come here, except for him and a few others. So I think he's just sympathizing with me that I may forget all that I wanted to say. I'm from the Kenya Tourism Board. I'm representing the CEO and Managing Director, Dr. Peter Adia, who is share with you very briefly some thoughts on the subject or the topic today of culture, tourism and culture, sustainable tourism and culture. So it's not a long speech, it is just some thoughts. So as we're preparing, that we just need to bear in mind. I guess that during this situation, I can see that we are very cautious. Possibly that explains why the turnout is still what it is, also being aware that some people are also coming from pretty far. So I think, let me just start off by stating that where we sit, we see that tourism and culture is a perfect match. As a colleague of mine puts it, is a match made in heaven, as they're mutually interdependent. And one of the things that we have seen from a number of researchers, that culture is actually the #1 motivator for long-haul travel, making culture, therefore, a core element of travel. And you also know that tourism promotes peace through intercultural exchange and mutual understanding and opening of borders. Indeed, some of you may recall that when UNWTO was formed, one of the reasons that it was formed, one of the principles, is to promote understanding, human understanding, so that we can have a peaceful society, that we can coexist. So it does actually help understanding, because we get to know each other better. And I am sure that when you travel to communities that you've never been, whether within or outside, you get a true understanding. Some of us have been fortunate to share rooms with people of different races, ranging from Chinese to others. And it has opened up our minds, and we've seen that people are people, irrespective of where they come from. The search for immersive experiences is also one of the things. It's a growing trend, especially during this period of COVID pandemic. And travelers are seeking meaningful experiences and interaction with communities in both urban and remote settings. Basically, you are getting concepts like travel like a local. People want to eat the food you are eating. They want to enjoy the music that you are enjoying. They want to dress how you are dressing. They just want to get to understand how the people of that particular destination actually live. They are looking for authenticity. So authenticity of experiences is the key thing. Now, when you look at our country, we have an array, we have, shall I say, sheer diversity of cultures. The diversity of color in Kenya's 44 cultures. And therefore, it provides us a great opportunity to really enhance our tourism. Because as I said, this is one of those things that's very difficult to replicate. The culture in one area or in one destination or in one country cannot be easily replicated the same way you can replicate other components of tourism. And so it can play and does play a very important role. However, as we do that, we must be able to overcome the challenges that also come with culture as an aspect that we want to promote or are promoting. One of that is the packaging of culture for consumption. How should we do it? In terms of particularly what now we are talking about as a cultural festival. How do we do it in a way that people are going to really embrace it, find it engaging, be massive in it, How do we do it that it's exciting to the people? So I think it's something that we just need to think about. We have to think about staged performances. I know there are questions that people keep on raising, that this is just crafted. It's just made for the tourists. We have to think we have to think of ways in which we present it in a way that still presents that authenticity, but responds to the needs of the planet. We're looking at cultural villages, and we've gone to certain villages, and some people have left, in some cases very depressed because of the circumstances that they've seen in such places. So we have to think through that as well. How can we present it in a way that sometimes, in certain cases, the way we present it, or the way it shows the hopelessness and the desperation of the people, leaves some clients or some visitors with such a bad taste that they don't even want to go. And generally, how we manage the whole affair. This is an area that we can talk about for a long, long time. And I think there's the documentation of culture as well. We also need to be able to take care of the disappearing cultures, which we ought to find a way of documenting and maintain for posterity. Already we are seeing steps of where we have unique cultural experiences being packaged for tourism. And this is just examples so that we find work very well and can work very well. I can see in Samburu now and also in Masaila, they are having warrior academies, just to be able to take you through that whole process of becoming a warrior, which is, I think, a very great thing. How do you get that courage? How do you build responsibility to these individuals? So the whole idea of homestays, and homestays can be varied. It can take care of different customer groups and working very well. And also the cultural festival, which I think is a great thing and the thing that has brought us here today. I think those are just thoughts, directions that as we discuss and explore, we can look at and see where can we place some of these thoughts and just recognizing the importance that culture plays in sustainable tourism. It's such a key thing. Just remember, it is, as they say, the #1 motivation, particularly in enhancing long-haul travel. With those few remarks, thank you very much, and I'd like to thank you too for listening. Thank you.
Next on line is we want to have Banakontela next, but we hold a little because the governor has sent a representative, Dr. Catherine Lishiba. Please, would you kindly give us a few remarks?
Here on behalf of the Governor of Nairobi County, and we are happy to host this forum. Thank you. Thank you. So I just go straight to the brief remarks. And distinguished guests, all protocols observed, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here today as we appreciate the diverse culture in our great nation and welcome you to this one-day workshop. I also take this opportunity to inspire you to be champions of our cultural heritage and use it as a tool to appreciate devolution. As counties, we are committed to make our rich, diverse cultures a vehicle for national cohesion and integration. This forum is important as we look at ways to bring together diverse communities and cultures in this great nation. Embracing cultural diversity is a key platform to use to propel different communities to appreciate and make use of their natural gifts and talent for gainful engagement within our nation and also outside world. Lastly, I sincerely thank everyone for finding time to attend this workshop and wish you all a gainful deliberation. And to all the visitors who are coming from other counties, we wish you to have an enjoyable stay in our great city, and which is a melting pot of all Kenyan and also international cultures. At this juncture, I declare this workshop officially open, and thank you very much, and have a blessed day.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to thank the county for attending today. I'd like to appreciate the CCs, directors, and CEOs of attended. My name is Tori Conchella. I'm the Technical Officer at Council of Governors for the Tourism Committee. And as we know, for Council of Governors, it was established under Section 19 of the Intergovernmental Act of 2012. And our functions are to share the best practices, to have a collective voice for the counties in policy issues, and promote inter-county consultations. On the tourism sector now, for what we do, we formulate intergovernmental framework for engagement with national government through intergovernmental working groups, which we identify key issues affecting tourism. And we also create a platform to share best practices in the tourism industry. For COG, we help counties to make strategies progress in the tourism sector. And as we know, tourism is a devolved function between the national and the county governments. And as we know, the role of culture in the nation is part of building peace and cannot be downplayed. And as we can see through our attendance, that tourism has a big role in our country, being the second largest income generating for the national government. I can see the importance by everyone's attendance, and I'd like to thank everyone for coming. And thank you. That's all.
So I'll call upon Dr. Chuka Jirmo of Domestic Tourism to talk to us.
Yeah, as you heard, my name is Dr. Chuka Jirmo. I'm the National Chair for Domestic Tourism Association. I also come from Marsabit County. Basically, I just want to take you through what we do at Domestic Tourism. By definition, domestic tourism refers, according to United Nations World Tourism Organization, it refers to tourism of the resident visitors within the economic territory of the countries of preference. In this regard, it's just travel of the residents within a particular country, like Kenyans traveling within our own country. Our objective is to enhance culture of travel and tourism among Kenyans. As you've seen, most of Kenyans are not widely traveling within our country. We just enjoy probably nyama choma and beer within big cities like Nairobi. And so our objective is to encourage Kenyans to travel widely within the country. Number two is to facilitate capacity building for domestic tourism stakeholders. When domestic tourism is engaged, when people travel, they equally have a lot of expectations. So we are engaging our members to meet that expectation. how to comply with some of those standards set by the ministry. Number 3 is to act as singular representative voice for our members. As you've seen, you might be having problems down there on the ground. The locals have businesses that have collapsed because of, for example, this COVID-19, but where are they going to appeal? So we want to consolidate all that and pack it and probably handle the government. So we are kind of advocacy group. And number 4 is to also make effort and address this seasonality. I think in Kenya, one of the major problems that we have is certain time of the year is called low season. And that low season is not a joke. There are people losing economy, there are people losing livelihoods, there are people losing jobs, there are people losing business. And so this is an element in the room. I think for a long time we have not, as a country, tried to deal with, how do we deal with this seasonality? And so this is the thing that we are coming in, and we want to discuss with all the stakeholders and even big hotels, how best can we address this so that we can have a flow of tourism across throughout the year. Our motto is Zuru Kenya, know your country, discover the hidden gems in Kenya. Some of our immediate and long-term goals are to work with tourism stakeholders, both national and county government, to enhance faster post-COVID-19 recovery. I think COVID-19 has hit us very hard. Most businesses have collapsed. We have been relying on, let's say, 60 to 70% of international tourists. But now, when Kenyan airspace was closed, then we were left to ourselves. What are we doing as a country? This is a huge realization now that actually we need to promote domestic tourism. And number 2, we are also planning a domestic tourism week, a kind of annual, so that we encourage, we create awareness among Kenyans. And we are thinking that this year, October or November, we are still planning. We want to have what is called domestic tourism week, so that both counties and locals and people can now create awareness among Kenyans. Another one is to recognize, negotiate with big hotels so that Kenyans are given favorable rates. I think this is an important thing. We have seen that now big hotels, even like Serena now, they have realized that there's some money in Kenya, that they have also started focusing on domestic tourism. So we would like to negotiate with them to give locals favorable rates so that we can have the recovery, faster recovery of domestic tourism. We would like to sustain the current trend of domestic tourism volume at 60%. As it stands today, we used to have 60-70% of our tourists come international, but around 30-35% domestic. But things have turned the other way around. But are we able to sustain this? I am sure if you are in this industry, our look forward is probably for international tourism to come back is maybe 2023, not even 2022, as things stand now. But we would like to sustain that goal. We would like that to remain. We are working with the ministry as well as county government so that we can sustain that. Another one is to lobby favorable tax regime and levies for domestic tourism stakeholders to enhance post-COVID-19 tourism-based recovery. I think this is important. There are a lot of levies, a lot of pressure that we are feeling now. Some of our businesses have collapsed. Our small-scale tourism economy has collapsed. So we would like to also, once we increase the volume, I'm sure government is not losing money because they will gain when they waive some levies or some rates for the local businesses or even inject some money, not through loans alone, but even through grants and seed money. When the volume is increased, government will gain more. So we are going to discuss this also with the ministry, how that can happen. And then we also work with the Ministry of Tourism and government in terms of participatory mapping. Where are these facilities that we are talking about? For domestic tourism, where are the facilities? If you want to go to Marsabit County, my county, for example, where are people going to? Accommodation, those sites, visit. Our own county can accommodate the volume of tourists that we are receiving now, but the information is not there. Because those who are doing the mapping are international tourists. I would say that the locals are not involved in mapping those sites. So we want to participate in that. Our members are local hoteliers, homestays and guest houses, local tour operators and tour guides, those people involved in sport tourism. We want to bring in Marsabit, for example, sport desert tourism as well, including other things like a new dynamics like nomadism can be a tourism in itself. Cultural tourism, like what we are planning today. Villages, cultural villages and bombers, I think are very famous with the international tourists. And then we also have regional associations like Coast Tourism Association and also the Northern Kenya Tourism and Wildlife Association, Rift Valley, and then we want to bring in Nairobi as well. So for membership, we can share with you our membership form, people can become members. And that's just brief. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Jenna Tudo of Ministry of Culture to come and tell us something about culture in this country. I'm reminded, I've seen 4 presidents. I think so Kenyatta, so Moi, so Kibaki, I'm seeing Uhuru. And all those people, when they were announcing their government, the last minister to be announced was Minister for Culture. I always wondered why. Maybe Ben will tell us.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Yeah, well, Mrs. Jane, I work with the Department of Culture as an assistant director. I'm here on behalf of my director. First, I start by thanking the chairman, Bwana Kafo, for having involved us in the planning of this festival. In fact, we started working last year because the captain was working the festival. And I hope this time in May, the festival is going to take place. And as Department of Culture, that is in charge of the organization of festivals, I think we are going to play a very big role in the partnership with this festival. So far, culture has been developed, but before it was developed, we had these functions which are geared towards development and promotion of other aspects of performing arts. Performing arts now is where these festivals come in. Then we have visual arts. I'll explain later about the indigenous health, nutrition, environment, indigenous language and oral traditions, and all aspects of tangible and intangible cultural heritage. So in terms of promotion and development of aspects of performing arts, we do capacity build cultural practitioners. We also organize and coordinate local and international performing arts festivals. Those are the cultural exchange programs. We work a lot with embassies, so they usually, when they have festivals in their countries, they send us the invitation to foreign affairs, and it is up to us now to look for the artists who can go and represent Kenya in those countries. Some of them are fully funded, but majority are rarely funded. So it is us to assist if we have money, that budget. So we identify groups to go and represent Kenya in those festivals. The second one is to promote they don't know much about our artifacts. So, it's when I realized most of us don't even know our cultural backgrounds, where we come from. We don't even know whether those things existed, or even if they exist, what did they used to do? Somebody was doing research recently and asking me some questions. I come from Nyanza, and I was being asked about some, and I couldn't remember because I didn't know. We've been brought it up in town, and we just speak Swahili and English and maybe the mother tongue, and you are never taken home. But I think this one we should take it up as parents, for our kids to know one another and know where they're coming from, because there are chances of kids marrying relatives. Some will bring, for example, like me, one time my brother brought a lady, and when my mom was asking, where are you from? She was related to my mother. So it's very, very important for us to always take children home and try to teach them, that it used to be like this, like that, like that. Then the third one is to revitalize, promotion, and develop indigenous languages and oral traditions. This is where we promote Kiswahili and other Kenyan indigenous languages and positive traditions, even our mother languages. In fact, nowadays we have a mother language day that we celebrate as a department and as a country. We also endeavor to discourage the progressive cultural practices through sensitization, workshops, seminars, exhibitions, publications, and performances. Number 4, we educate the public on the aspects of tangible and intangible cultural heritage through cultural information and dissemination and research. So when you want to know certain things, apart from the National Museum, on tangible and intangible cultural heritage, we have information in our department, and you're welcome to come and we'll assist you and see. Number 5 is to promote and develop various aspects of indigenous health, nutrition, environmental, sustainable development through capacity building workshops, seminars, exhibitions, cultural exchange programs, recognition and support of traditional medicine, medical practitioners by registration, provision of grants, information and support. For the 6th one, development of community cultural centers. We used to put up community cultural centers before culture was developed. And so far, I think we had about 8 or 10 cultural centers that national government put up in different counties. Then number 7, development of policies and legislative framework of culture. Like now we've already done our national culture and heritage policy, which has already been approved by cabinet, just waiting implementation. Now the current functions that we have after the evolution is just development of policies and legislative framework for culture. And as I mentioned, one of them is culture, heritage policy. Promotion of cultural exchange programs by promoting our artists at the international forum. I think I've talked about that. Registration of cultural practitioners. We do register cultural practitioners, and this is for empowerment. They can use this certificate to go to another county and even do exhibition. And for the herbalists, not the herbalists or traditional medical practitioners, I think that is better. Without that, the chiefs usually harass them without that certificate. And even when these artists, some of them want to go abroad for cultural exchange programs, you'll find embassies. They want a certificate from the Department of Culture and an introduction letter. So this certificate is very important. It's just a certificate of recognition, it's not a license, which is very cheap. Just 520 in case you know any artist, refer them to us. Then coordination of international cultural exchange protocols and agreements. We do MOUs between countries. Management of cultural space, like the Kenya Cultural Center. We sensitize and capacity build cultural practitioners for skills development, because it's something like that before. National cultural programs in Kenya Music and Cultural Festival. Visual arts exhibitions, handicraft fair, foodways and African traditional medicine exhibition. For the Kenya Music and Cultural Festival, it is a flagship activity of the Department of Culture. That is an annual event that we've done for, last year should have been the 94th edition, but because of Corona we didn't, because it brings the 47 counties together to celebrate the diverse cultural heritage of Kenya. Then we have visual arts exhibition, we do trade fairs under this. We exhibit different categories of artifacts. Then the foodways that already talked about, traditional foods. Then African traditional medicine, it has a day in the world. I think sometime August or October. I think it's August. So we celebrate it every year. Then also we have coordination of international cultural conventions such as UNESCO Convention 203 that safeguards and promotes intangible cultural heritage, and also the 205 Convention on the protection and promotion of diversity of cultural expressions. Now I'll go to the devolved functions now. I believe most of us that are here are from the counties. I prepared this paper with the idea that most of the participants here are from counties, and I'll share a bit of my experiences that can help them at the grassroots. So the devolved functions at the moment for culture in the counties, community-based programs like community cultural festivals and exhibitions, coordination and organization of the county Kenya Music and Cultural Festival in collaboration with national government. This Kenya Music and Cultural Festival starts at the grassroots level, the county level, then it's when it comes to the national level. So the people who participated in number 1, 2, 3, they're the ones that are brought to the national level. Then they do domesticate our national policy to suit their local needs. They also register cultural practitioners at their own level. Then development of community cultural centers. Some counties have already started developing the community cultural centers. Those are now the evolved functions. Then I'll talk about linkage between culture and tourism. Cultural tourism enables people to experience the different ways of life of other people, thereby gaining at first hand an understanding of their customs, tradition, physical environment, and intellectual ideas, and those places which are historic and which have other significance. Culture is very valuable to today's economy because it recognizes that growth must be both inclusive and environmentally sound to reduce poverty and build shared prosperity for today's population. And I request that this festival should be cascaded to the counties. Because we do not thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Caroline Mwenda, and I hope today I'll represent the National Museums as powerfully as my directors would. Good morning, all protocols observed. Now I'll begin by asking, what is tourism? And for me, tourism is me telling my story so colorfully, so beautifully, and so vividly, with great passion, that you want to experience my story for yourself. That means if I'm from Wajir, or like my colleague from Marsabit, I'll tell you of the food we eat, of the songs we sing in the evenings, the hills you see, of the night sky, so many times and in so many ways that, my friend, you yourself will look for a bus to Marsabit or Wajir and find your way to my home. And that is local tourism, and that is also what international tourism is. Then what is heritage? Heritage is the different media that I use to tell my story. My heritage, the museum defines in 4 ways and has categorized in 4 pillars. It starts with art, and it's so beautiful that the hotels now are taking up fine art from our local artists, and we can see it on the walls. It defines who we are, our fine art, and this is from as far back as the days of the cave, when we saw fine art and the artists, the archaeologists are finding in the caves, either through the artwork of Soy, Michael Soy, or the Mukabis of Kenya, or the soapstone carvers, or the wood carvers of Kitui and Makueni. It is also in the music and the theater, as has been said by my boss from the directorate. From the stage to the silver screen, and we have representatives now in the Hollywoods. This borrows heavily from the next category, which is our culture. Our culture is the way of life. We have been 44 strong, and now we are 45, with the Shona being incorporated as of December. It is the why, it is the how, the who we are, as the different parts of Kenya. From our dress, to the pots we use to fetch water, and that which we use to feed our children, or the songs we sing during specific celebrations, our culture has been shaped over the years by the next pillar we have at the museum, and this is our history. Our history incorporates our folklore, the story of the different guests we welcomed over the years, and how they shaped our cuisine, how they shaped our religion, how they shaped our way of life, down to our architecture, our medicine, and our governance. Our history may have a lot of influence on how we relate with the final one, and this is our natural resource. From the fact that we are the cradle of mankind, and one of the things that I learned very early on when I joined the museum is we just may be the hub of innovation and technology because we had the largest workshop for stone tools in Olorgo Saile, in Magadi, and Hyrax Hill. No wonder that we have M-Pesa building and booming here in Kenya. We have been the origins of innovation. To the waterways and the conservation and the evolution of different species of birds, insects, plants, and animals. All those are our heritage. And at the museum, we have conducted research. And like my boss at the directorate again said, we are very good at documenting and writing reports, and we have done plenty of research. And now as national museums, you see on our screen, we have taken up different platforms to document this so that, like she said, you can easily access and find out the headgear she may have been looking for from the Luo community and how it compares to the headgear of the Pokot. Now you have a resource where you can refer. And we're not just going to put this up on digital media, we're going to engage directly with key players of the tourism sector. Because what I believe to be key in sustainability in tourism and our culture is ownership. We must own our culture. And the only way we can own it is by knowing it, is by constant education, not just of mine, but of yours as well. If individuals hold a stake in the growth of the visitor numbers to various aspects of our heritage, then we will do all we can to preserve and protect it. If I can see economic viability in protecting the sisal skirt or the jingles that she mentioned, then I will do everything I can to tell that story beautifully in every social platform I am on. How do we ensure that there is this sense of ownership? It's the sense of its communication and education. And one of the things that we are doing is identify the people, the key stakeholders, the key ambassadors of our culture and stories of Kenya. And key among these are the Uber drivers, the tour drivers and guides. Those are our key ambassadors on a daily basis because they are the ones who are communicating with the tourists. They are the ones who are communicating with us when we are in those vehicles. And they're the ones who can positively speak on the fact that, oh, by the way, you said you had a rash. That leaf, if pounded with a little bit of warm water, should help you ease the pain or the itchiness of the embellishment you have on your skin. So what we are doing as national museums is creating spaces and opportunities to train our tour drivers and guides, to train the waiters, to train the bellboys in hotels, so that if a tourist at any point asks, and what is this tree? The waiter has authority to speak confidently about the fact that the bark is very good tonic for your stomach. The leaves have been used for ages in growing lengthy hair, and the roots are a preserve of our medicine men to conserve or preserve food for ages. The stories are many. What bad is that? We don't want the waiter to say, let me call somebody. We want him to be the authority on what Kenya is. And so we are opening up and saying, for those associations we have heard from, like the Domestic Tourism Association, we want to engage and train all your members so that they are very clear on what Kenya is, what Kenya has, and the different aspects of our heritage. So for this festival, we are very happy to open our doors and to share with you our knowledge in various ways. And in fact, the most beautiful thing about the festival is being on the 20th to 22nd of May. That month is very rich for the museum. We begin with the Heritage Day, which is on the 5th of May. And then we have International Museums Day, which is on the 18th of May. So we would love to engage in a month-long celebration on heritage and museums and sites. And we have several sites around the country, and we are helping various counties to build their story, their heritage story. So invite us, and we'll help you tell your story in as colorful a way and as diverse a way as is possible. Asanteni.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joseph Nkamasiai. I'm a director of programs in the Ministry of Devolution and Asals. I'm here to represent the PS for Devolution, Mr. Charles Sunguli, in this very important event or meeting that is planning for the upcoming cultural and tourism exhibition. First of all, mine is to, on behalf of the Ministry of Devolution and Asals, welcome you all to this planning meeting. So as a ministry, our role really, our mandate as a ministry revolves around working with counties to ensure that devolution works, supporting counties through technical assistance. We have various projects that we are working together with the counties to ensure that they happen. These two events, culture and tourism, are both devolved functions, but still the national government has a lot of interest because, as you know, culture and tourism, or tourism per se, is one of our biggest income earners. So as a ministry, we would wish that counties can play a bigger role in ensuring that we are able to exhibit, we are able to showcase our cultural activities, And in that way, we'll be able to attract tourists who come to our counties to see what we do, to see our cultural events and all that. So we would wish to request counties as a ministry to consider in their plannings and budgets and CIDPs to consider really budgeting for cultural activities of our communities, because we understand our communities. We know that culture is a way of life of our people. This is something that will not go away in the near future. So if ministries can, if counties can also consider budgeting, we know we have calendar events that happen across our various counties, our communities. They are still propagating their cultural activities. We need to really give it a very serious thought, so that most of them really do not have to rely on philanthropy, like what happens in some of the counties, like say Narok and other places, and even parts of Eastern and Northeastern. We have events that must happen. So county governments need to consider and come up with mechanisms of how to support and fund those activities, because they'll always keep happening. We need to also identify ambassadors of these cultural activities. In those tourist counties like Narok and Kajiado and others, we have a lot of women who do beadwork, and they sell their wares to tourists who come to the country. In fact, we'll be pleased to note that some of those illiterate women, for example, when you go to Mara and those places, they speak all the languages, but they are illiterate. So you wonder how. You know, they are able to tell this tourist is from Germany, this one is from China, this one is from wherever, and they're able to, they know their currencies, they know who is generous and who is not, and those kinds of things. So really, I think we really need to harness those kinds of groups of women and people who are interacting with our, because you see, they are also, they can be agents of marketing our cultures and tourists and tourism. So as a ministry, therefore, I know the event is coming up around May. We'll also play a big role, where we'll work together with the other the line ministries of culture and tourism. We have what is called the whole of government approach. We would just wish that the organizers can also probably try to bring all of us together, as now that the event is going to happen here in Nairobi, so that we can have a clearer picture of what are the roles would wish that we play in terms of even publicizing this event, because we believe it is a very important event. It's going to market our country. It's going to, we are going to learn cross-cultural learning from members of our communities, and maybe how can we make it an annual event? How can we also cascade it to the to the counties, so that we just give it the necessary publicity that is required. So mine, therefore, is just to wish you well, because I'll not be able to see through, but you have the support of the Ministry of Devolution through our PS. And I would also wish that when you go back to your counties, you really need to ensure that we really prioritize culture and tourism, and see how else or how best can we be able to add value to what is already happening. All these events, the bullfightings, the initiation ceremonies, and all other kind of activities that we have down there, and all our historical sites. How can we also look internally, so that we create that interest in our communities to want to go and learn what their neighboring communities are doing and all that. And that can also even help in terms of social cohesion and ensuring that we appreciate the cultures of each and every one of us in this country. So with those few remarks, I want to thank you and state that we shall be part and parcel of this process. Thank you very much.